Screenshot.
Yeah, boy.
What's going on, guys? Today, I'm going to be throwing out over 15 tips and tricks that I have found pretty helpful while playing Outward. The Definitive Edition brought us so many new things, and I'm here to help you experience them to the max. So without further ado, let's get into it. The merchants who sell food, or cooks as I like to call them, often sell jam and bread at the same time. Combining these together in a cooking pot will give you tartines, of which last a long time as far as food goes. The reason to make a bunch of these is that they help with stamina. Eating a tartine and taking some water will let you run much longer and fight more easily. Crafting these in town should last you until you reach another town, so essentially, infinite stamina boosting food. Every blacksmith has a unique set of armor they can make for you if you bring them some silver and the correct material. These sets can be extremely useful against certain bosses, and crafting copal or petrified wood armor in Berg near the beginning of the game will significantly increase your defense compared to the padded or leather armor you might usually wear. Consider mining random plants and ores more often so you can save up for these better sets. Being tired in Outward actually gives you mana regen. Pretty weird, I know, but having less than 50% sleep gives you 0.2 mana regen and negative 15% stamina regeneration. So you don't have quite as much stamina, but free mana. Consider using this for passive mana instead of the leyline connection skill that costs you a breakthrough point. Additionally, Dreamer's Root is everywhere now and can be used to make you 15% more tired. Pretty useful to know if you happen to sleep and run out of your tired buff. Being less than 25% tired gives 0.3 mana regen, but even worse stamina, and makes you worry about 0% rest, which counts as a defeat. So make sure to pay attention to your tired levels. Elemental particles drop from arcane elementals, and since Definitive Edition added arcane elementals to many more of the caves in Outward, you should be able to get at least a couple particles every once in a while. Turns out, you can craft these with 2 Dreamer's Root in an alchemy kit for incense. You get 4 incense at a time, and each should sell for around 75 silver. So new money strat. Purifying quartz is often needed to craft the materials for better enchantments, and unfortunately, it isn't that easy to get. Try to save these up and never sell them because you will be kicking yourself for it later. They drop from arcane elementals and the galvanic golems. Combat in Outward sucks sometimes, and it probably has to do with you not understanding everything your weapon can do. A fantastic YouTuber I know goes by Comforts of the Burrow, and he makes sure to test out each attack combination before ever battling with a weapon. Consider playing around with special and regular attack combinations immediately after picking up a different weapon type. Some moves let you completely dodge attacks altogether, but you won't be able to use them in battle if you don't know what your weapon is capable of. Take 5 minutes and learn the movesets. Enchanting armor takes quite a bit of time, and this is especially true on a new character, because you need to find the incense and other materials before you can even begin. Consider enchanting weapons and armor on a previous character, and then throwing those into a legacy chest. Enchantments stay on items through the legacy process, and this makes it go much quicker, since your older character will likely have the materials needed for enchanting saved up already. Never wear a full set of any armor set. Most of the time, a single armor set is not all that strong compared to a unique combination from different armors. This is not always true, as Outward has many armor sets and skill combinations to look into, but it is a good tip to keep in the back of your mind. Combine sets together to make yourself more powerful. This is especially true of helmets, as heavier helmets often come with more negative stats that you might not want. The Preservation Backpack decreases the rate at which your food rots by 75%. Consider carrying this bag in your main backpack until you are ready to travel. Then switch all your contents to the Preservation Backpack and your food will not be as decayed going through the zone change. My good buddy Lazy Liger is quite fond of doing this, and I have to say it works because he always has extra food on him when I run out. Weapon speed matters a lot in this game. Be sure to check how fast your weapon attacks before using it. Certain playstyles require fast weapons, while others require slow ones that do more impact. You need to know how fast you'll be hitting your enemy before actual combat, or you may realize too late that you can't stagger a particular enemy with that weapon. 0.8 is a very slow attack speed, while 1.1 is extremely quick. Both are usable, but in different ways. Stash chests are pretty annoying after the definitive edition because you can't buy the houses in each region until after you finish the faction quest. This forces you to sell off items during the early game that might be nice to have later on. To avoid this, consider completing your faction quest before doing anything else. Each faction quest takes you to different parts of the world and will actually teach you how to better survive if you properly follow the dialogue. Most of us want to explore as soon as possible, but Outward isn't exactly set up that way anymore, so consider changing your priorities around a bit. Don't get discouraged from dying. Being killed is actually a huge part of Outward and is meant to happen from time to time. If it wasn't, the developers would not have designed over 80 different death scenarios. It's going to happen eventually, as I have been playing Outward for quite some time now, and even I get caught off guard by certain enemies and bosses. This is especially true of unique boss fights, as some of them are really challenging and could take multiple deaths for you to finally achieve victory. Get back up, grab that backpack, and head out for the next adventure. Stagger is extremely important, and if you watch any decent Outward player, they often stagger the enemy 3 or 4 times in a row. My good buddy Pentagram has been making weapon guides lately, and if you check him out, you'll notice that no matter what weapon he's using, he will first stagger his enemies using skills before attacking. You might also notice that enemies are pushed back a bit after you get their stagger bar slightly under half. This is the game letting you know that if you keep attacking the enemy, he won't be able to hit you back. Harder enemies will be impossible to stagger with mere weapon attacks alone. Consider using 1 or 2 skills to decrease that stability bar, and then rush in with rapid weapon attacks. Piggybacking off that last tip, consider using the skill Brace from the Warrior Monk skill tree. This is a tier 1 skill that can be used by any character. It does a lot for you, but my main point with it is that it decreases your attacker's stability bar by 50%. It is a counter, but Brace is one of the best counters in the game as it has a pretty large window where it will successfully land. Easily get your enemy's stability to half with one simple move. And Brace only requires an equipped melee weapon to use, making it an S tier skill to have in your back pocket. Talk to everyone. I've mentioned this before, as talking to the NPCs teaches you more about the lore in Outward, but also how to play better. On top of this, merchants will often have a small mini-quest for you to complete if you have a conversation with them. Some ask for items, while others want you to deliver something. These can be done over and over, and are great ways to get certain potions and even money while doing hardly any more than you already were. Just leave the area and come back for merchants to ask you for help again. Outward has an auto walk feature, and I recommend you use it. You will at some point need to walk around different areas of the game for a long time without doing much else. Some people dislike this as it is a walking simulator. To help alleviate this, you can do a few things. Press auto walk and start looking at what you have that is craftable. Then when you get to town, you don't need to waste 20 minutes figuring stuff out. Also, you can take this time to read your skills and figure out the best way to slot them in your hotbar. If you're bored while playing Outward, it has nothing to do with the game. You just aren't immersed enough to enjoy it. Don't be a dodge spammer. Pressing the dodge button in Outward is a great way to kill yourself, as you are punished quite harshly for doing so. On the flip side, you are rewarded for staying calm during combat and precisely timing your attacks and dodges. Oftentimes, a quick block is all that is needed for you to avoid a hit, and this will give you a chance to counterattack. Whereas, a dodge prevents you from attacking or counterattacking and depletes your stamina at the same time. You will still be required to dodge, as certain enemies hit with enough force to stagger your block. All you need to do is learn which enemies these are and prepare accordingly. But don't dodge 10 times while fighting a single bandit. It is inefficient and leads to poor gameplay against harder enemies later on down the line. Don't forget you can place markers on your map. Often, more experienced players will not showcase this, as they already know where things are. However, it's a good idea for new players to color code their maps with different markers to remember where things are at. Rich iron veins you mark as blue, chests you mark as yellow, and difficult enemies you mark as red. Come up with some unique system of markers so that when you come back to a region, you know what can be looted again and which areas to stay away from. This is more helpful than you might think, as it gets pretty hard to remember everything off the top of your head. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. 15 plus tips and tricks on everything from making silver to fighting better in combat. Hopefully, you were able to learn something from this video, and consider leaving a like if you enjoyed it. Outward has plenty to offer players, and these are just a few extra tips that might help you out along your way. If you happen to think of anything that might help others out, feel free to comment it down below so we can all become the best Outward nerds possible. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll catch you next time.